The chapter begins with Ichigo in his Hollow of Salvation form. Yhwach asks, that hollow-like appearance, is this the form of your hollow merged with your own power? Ichigo explains, in the past, whenever I used too much of my Shinigami or hollow power, these guys would come out. To be honest, since they're part of my own power, I'd like to bring them out whenever I want, but I'm not used to controlling them yet, so I use your power as a trigger. Yhwach smiles slightly at Ichigo's explanation, and we see Ichigo charges towards Yhwach. As he moves closer, a massive surge of energy explodes outward, destroying everything in its path. Yhwach, impressed, says, "Such magnificent power, Ichigo." Deciding to escalate the fight, Yhwach reaches for his sword. But before he can draw it and make a move, Ichigo, in a flash, is already upon him. He grabs Yhwach's sword with one hand, while with his other hand, he throws his own blade into the air and attempts to strike Yhwach. The blow causes massive destruction, leveling the surrounding buildings. However, to no one's surprise, Yhwach catches Ichigo's sword mid-swing. He taunts, "Do you really think that's enough to cut me down, Ichigo?" In the next moment, Yhwach throws Ichigo back. Ichigo quickly recovers and prepares to unleash a Getsuga Tensho. Yhwach, unfazed, remarks, "It's always the same attack. Such weak moves will never reach me." But then, to Yhwach's surprise, he realizes something is different. Ichigo smirks and reveals, this isn't just a Getsuga Tensho. It's mixed with a Grand Ray Taro. With this devastating combination attack, Ichigo slashes through Yhwach, delivering a powerful blow. Ichigo, stunned by Yhwach's relentless power, defiantly says, "What's this about despair? I know all about it. I've faced it again and again. And every time I've conquered it." With this declaration, Ichigo grips his swords tightly and shouts, "Bankai." An immense burst of energy erupts from him. Without hesitation, he unleashes Tensa Zangetsu. But to his surprise, as he swings his blade, he realizes that his sword is broken. Shocked, he wonders, "Why is my Tensa Zangetsu broken?" When he looks down, he sees Yhwach holding a piece of his shattered blade. Ichigo, stunned, thinks, "What is this? What just happened? Did he snap it?" "No, I didn't feel him move at all." Yhwach smiles confidently and says, "No need to look so horrified, Ichigo. I simply showed my respect for your power. Your new Tensa Zangetsu is indeed a dangerous Bankai, which is why I took the precaution of breaking it. In the future, you don't understand my words yet, but you have no time to figure them out." Suddenly, Yhwach breaks one of Ichigo's horns, and before Ichigo can react, Yhwach throws the broken piece at him. Instinctively, Ichigo bats it away with his remaining sword, but in the next he realizes Yhwach is standing right behind him. Yhwach attacks, sending Ichigo flying into the ground. Before Ichigo can recover, Yhwach launches another devastating blow, causing blood to pour from Ichigo's body as he's thrown into a building. Yhwach, floating in the air, prepares to strike again, but a shield suddenly appears and stops his attack. It's Oriheim's power. Ichigo, struggling to stand, sees Oriheim and shouts her name. But before he can say more, Yhwach strikes him down again, and more blood spills from Ichigo's body. Oriheim, shocked, wonders, how could he hit Ichigo if I blocked his attack? Yhwach taunts them, saying, "Did it never occur to you how simply seeing the future could allow me to place traps wherever I wanted? You must already have some idea of the answer." He continues, "Yes, that's right. The future can be changed. That's what you told me, isn't it? And indeed, the Almighty is not merely the power to see the future. It is the power to alter it." This revelation leaves Ichigo stunned, and Yhwach presses on. "Come now, Ichigo. Succumb to despair. It is true that you have conquered despair many times by changing the future. But do you know why you succeeded? It's because I wasn't there. Show me now, can you still change the future when I'm here?" Ichigo is filled with confusion and frustration, unable to comprehend Yhwach's overwhelming power. Yhwach raises his sword high and says, "No matter what wondrous future you try to create, I have already seen it, and I will slice it apart." Yhwach strikes again, sending Ichigo crashing into the ground. He grabs Ichigo by the head and pulls him up, sneering. "Have you given up already, Ichigo? That's not like you." Ichigo, now covered in blood and overwhelmed with despair, thinks, "My sword is useless. My shield is useless. Is this the end?" Yhwach, seeing the hopelessness on Ichigo's face, throws him aside and says, "So this is how it ends? How disappointing. No, perhaps I should say, you've entertained me enough. It's time for you to return the power I gave you." With that, Yhwach grabs Ichigo's face and begins to extract his powers. Blue lines of energy ripple through the air as Ichigo feels the Quincy and hollow powers inside him start to vanish. Everything turns white as he feels his strength draining away. Yhwach, absorbing Ichigo's power, laughs triumphantly as black energy erupts into the sky. A black portal appears behind Yhwach, and he says, "Farewell, Ichigo. Neither you nor my children are of any further use to me. Lie there and watch as I destroy both the Soul Society and the human world." As Yhwach walks away, he notices Renji and Rukia approaching. He smirks and says, "You're certainly resilient to still stand before me, but with the wounds you bear you can barely move. Still, if you wish to pursue me, feel free. I will honor that spirit by granting you a glorious death. I will wait until you reach your moment of greatest happiness, and then I will take your lives." With that, Yhwach steps through the portal, and leaving Renji, Rukia, and a broken Ichigo behind. Rukia, shaken, asks, "What kind of power is that? The power to rewrite the future? How can anyone stand against such an ability? Even the power of rejection can't erase something that's already been broken in all possible futures." Renji helps Ichigo to his feet and says, "Let's move." Rukia, trying to stop him, asks, "What are you planning to do? We need a plan before we face him again." Renji chuckles and replies, "Got any bright ideas on how to beat a monster like that?" Rukia hesitates and says no. Before anyone can say more, someone suddenly stabs Ichigo from behind. Renji and Ichigo both turn in shock, only to see that it's Tsukishima. Ichigo, confused, asks, "What are you doing here? What's your purpose?" Tsukishima smirks and replies, "An excellent question. I have no reason to ally myself with you, Ichigo. I'm only here because Jinjo instructed me to be." Ichigo stares in disbelief, but Tsukishima continues, "You're so naive. I never said I would be your ally. I'm just repaying the debt I owe you." Tsukishima turns to Orihime and says, "Use your Soten Kishin on his brain again. Even if the future has been overwritten, as long as there's a past where it wasn't broken, you can reject that reality." Orihime does as instructed, and we see Ichigo's mind restored to its original state. Tsukishima smirks and says, "That settles our debt, Ichigo." Finally, Ichigo stands up, takes his sword back, and prepares for what's to come. As Yhwach arrives in the Soul Society, he says, "It is unexpected to think that you would encounter me in Soul Society once more." Then we see the legendary panel where Aizen is already waiting for Yhwach to come, and he welcomes Yhwach to his Soul Society. Yhwach laughs, realizing he has found another worthy opponent. Meanwhile, Ichigo and Renji are escaping and trying to reach Yhwach. Ichigo falls, and Renji questions if he's alright, helping him get back up. Ichigo asks Renji why he didn't stay with Inoue and Rukia, saying he shouldn't have come with him. In response, Renji strikes Ichigo's head and punches him, saying, "I'm only going to say this because you're the only one here to hear it. All this time, for as long as I can remember, decades at least, Rukia and I were separated by a distance so great we couldn't even glimpse each other. But the one who brought us back together was you. That's why I've decided. Whenever you find yourself unable to go on, I'll take you onward myself. Carry you if I have to. That's what I've done up to now. And I'll keep doing it forever. Until the day you die. So don't ever tell me I should have stayed behind again, because this story isn't over." Ichigo smiles. Back in the Soul Society, we see black energy emerging and white smoke spreading as Yhwach enters. He breaks Aizen's chair, removing all the seals. Aizen says, "I have to admit, I thought you'd settle everything up there without setting foot down here. But this shows you had more trouble with Kurosaki Ichigo than I had foreseen." Yhwach replies, "Don't try to project your own troubles onto me. It was you who was defeated by Ichigo, not I." Aizen continues, "At any rate, I must thank you for destroying that troublesome chair. As a result, I am able to stand in your way." Yhwach says, "You mean to fight me for the sake of the Soul Society? I can't imagine how that would benefit you." Aizen replies, "This is not about benefit. My only purpose has always been to crush all who seek to control me." In the next scene, Ichigo and Renji leap behind Yhwach, trying to strike him. Yhwach dodges their attack and says, "Ichigo, Renji, you certainly made it here quickly. Though of course I saw that you would meet me here, that your sword would be restored, and that it would once more be broken." Ichigo is stunned as his sword is broken again. Yhwach comments, "I thought I had broken it more cleanly than that. You truly do have the most accursed luck, Ichigo." Black energy flows out, crushing everything in its path. Yhwach says, "You're barely hanging on, Ichigo. I can scarcely bear to watch. Why didn't you have Inoue heal you before coming after me? Because she was wounded?" Or perhaps you thought you wouldn't make it in time if you wasted time healing. No matter when you arrive, you cannot hope to change a thing. As Yhwach continues talking, Renji attacks him. Yhwach responds, the same goes for Renji Abarai. Renji ignores him, unleashing his Bankai, Suzubimaru, and leaps into the air, trying to attack. But unsurprisingly, his Bankai is cut down by Yhwach. Your Bankai is meaningless against me. Still, you don't understand. All of your Bankai have already been crushed by me in the future. So when you face me, I will crush you with my own hands, so you can understand what's happened. Suddenly, Aizen leaps and attacks Yhwach. Yhwach shouts, Aizen, remarking on how amusing it is that divine forces unite against a common enemy when faced with defeat. Aizen ignores Yhwach's warning and launches Haruna 99, Goryu Tenmitsu, and a purple dragon emerges, destroying the area. Aizen runs towards Yhwach to land a hit. But Yhwach says, have you not noticed that Aizen's sword has already been broken? At that moment, Yhwach hits Aizen directly in the stomach, and blood spills out as he is sent flying. Yhwach says, don't bother these two, as he cuts Ichigo's hand. Ichigo tries to counter with his sword, but Yhwach catches it saying, I'm disappointed. He crushes the sword into pieces. I applaud you for assessing the situation and instantly choosing to fight alongside Aizen's forces. However, Kyoka Suigetsu cannot deceive me. It was Renji I sent flying with my first move, and the one on my side with the next was you, Ichigo. I see it all. With these words, Yhwach breaks Ichigo's sword and shouts, it's over for you, Ichigo. In the next moment, Yhwach creates a hole in Ichigo's stomach, cuts his hand, and blood spills from Ichigo's body. Yhwach grabs Ichigo and says, farewell, your resistance was pleasant to behold, as thanks, I will allow you to perish alongside the Soul Society. Just as Yhwach prepares to deliver the final blow, he hears words echoing, and it turns out it wasn't Ichigo in front of him. It was Aizen using Katsu to trick Yhwach. Aizen says, do you see me as Roski Ichigo? Do you? Yhwach is stunned, and in the next moment, the real Ichigo stabs Yhwach from behind. The stab doesn't have an immediate effect, but then Ichigo unleashes Getsuga Tensho. As the attack rips through Yhwach, his body starts to disintegrate. Yhwach tries to retaliate, but his body is slowly disappearing. Aizen says, not bad, Ichigo. I'm impressed that you adjusted to Kyoka Suigetsu so quickly. Ichigo, standing over Yhwach's fading form, says he felt a strange uneasiness as he was heading to the Soul Society. It was the same feeling he had when Aizen placed everyone under his power. Aizen, impressed by Ichigo's observation, says, you are quite right. I released Kyoka Suigetsu before you all arrived here, and I was able to confirm that my power could even alter the Almighty's vision of the future. All that happened was the existence of you, whom Kyoka Suigetsu would not affect. To think that my neglecting to show you my release of power would prove useful in such a fashion. Kurosaki Ichigo. As Aizen is about to say more, suddenly, a blade pierces through his body, cutting him down. Ichigo shouts Aizen's name, and we see Yhwach rising again. Yhwach remarks, Aizen's attack has been reactivated, whether due to his overconfidence or because he has simply reached his limit. He then turns to Ichigo and says, I hope you do not believe you have taken my life with an attack like that. My power allows me to change the future. Even my own death can be overwritten. Ichigo, determined, tries to attack Yhwach again, but Yhwach kicks Ichigo's hand, sending his sword flying. Ichigo attempts to fight without his sword, but Yhwach grabs him with his black aura and says, it's over. Both the human world and the Soul Society will lose their form and become one before my power. As Yhwach is trying to control Ichigo, suddenly, an arrow pierces through his body. He looks confused, and from a distance, we see that it was Ishida who fired the arrow. Ishida explains, let me tell you what Yuryu told me. The silver that appears from the Osvalin is called the Silver of Stillness. By mixing with the blood of the one who activated the Osvalin, it interferes with all of the user's abilities. For a single instant, it eliminates them completely. He then shouts, now's your chance. Kurosaki Yhwach, still unfazed, says, so what? What did you hope to achieve by altering my power for just a mere instant? Ishida doubts if they can make it in time, but Ichigo grabs his sword and launches a powerful blow toward Yhwach. Yhwach tries to break Ichigo's sword, but to his surprise, the sword was not broken, it was concealed within a stone shell. Ichigo's real sword emerges and in the next moment, the blade approaches Yhwach. Yhwach says, so what I saw at that moment was a glimpse of the future through my own eyes. I thought it was a dream you were showing me. At that moment, Hashwalt's dead body is revealed, and in the next instant, Ichigo cuts through Yhwach's body. With this, Yhwach is completely destroyed, bringing the legendary battle between Yhwach, Ichigo, and Aizen to an end.